Struggling to stay up to date with social media? Do you want to get ahead online? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Public Sector Marketing Show, the podcast for public sector professionals who want to elevate their digital communications. Here's your host, Joanne Sweeney.
Hello and welcome to Season 6 and Episode 94 of the Public Sector Marketing Show. Seasoned marketing and communications professionals know all about SEO, search engine optimization. But 2024 is the year that we go all in on social SEO. TikTok is going right after Google and YouTube market share. And along with social SEO, they are encouraging creators to publish videos longer than 1 minute. They say they will pay them more. And in fact, just released is the fact that TikTok is now testing videos of up to 30 minutes. In today's show, I'm going to unlock the social SEO secrets to help you improve discoverability, reach, and your overall organic performance on social media. So let's dive in. So if you're watching this episode, you can see behind me on screen, it says Google who. That headline might be a little bit dramatic, right? But in July 2022, so that's over a year and a half ago, Google admitted that their search and map products are being impacted by a growing preference for social media and video as the first stop on younger users' path to discovery. Speaking at a conference, their senior vice president, who runs their knowledge and information department, Pravakar Ravakan, he said, "We keep learning over and over again that new internet users don't have the expectations and the mindset that we have become accustomed to." He added, "The queries they are asking for is completely different. These users don't tend to type in keywords, but rather look to discover content in new, more immersive ways." He continued, "In our studies, something like around 40% of young people, when they're looking for a place for lunch, they don't go to Google or to Maps." He said they go to TikTok or to Instagram. Now, this is a major marketing shift that all public sector pros need to take seriously. Social SEO needs to be embedded in your social media strategy, but also in your social media execution. And in the next segment, I'm going to tell you how to do it.
Public sector pros, do you want to progress in your career? Are you going for promotion? Do you want to stay ahead of the digital media landscape? We can help you. View our training calendar at publicsectormarketingpros.com.
In today's consulting segment, I'm going to tell you how to master social SEO for improved discovery across the social networks. First of all, let me define what social SEO is. It's the practice of adding text-based features like captions, alt text, closed captioning, subtitling to your posts to help people browse social platforms easily to find your content. You extend this practice to the copy in your script and also to the text overlay on your videos. So let's take, for example, if you are publishing an Instagram reel and you want to optimize it for social search optimization. Here's what you need to do. So first of all, and I'm teaching this in my in-person and online classes at the moment, we are going to start with doing long tail keyword research. What does this mean? It means that we want to uncover what users on social are searching for around topics that you're creating content for. So you do this on TikTok, you do it on YouTube, you do it on Instagram. So let's say, for example, we're doing a video around mental health and exam anxiety. You put that long tail keyword into TikTok, it will surface the most viewed and the most viral videos, and then that will reshape your thinking on your video title and maybe the script that you're going to write to support it. Then that becomes your hook or your headline. You then want to add those keywords into your script. It will appear on the subtitles on the video. You will then add it to the caption. You will include it as hashtags. And then if you're adding static photos, for example, an Instagram carousel to support the reel, you will add it to the alt text. So quite simply, social SEO is using long tail keywords to match users' search terms to help discoverability, and then using that keyword right throughout the copy, written, spoken, on screen, and also on your post. In today's show, I'm delighted to be joined by Emeric Ernaud. He's co-founder and CEO of Agorapulse, the award-winning social media management platform used by us and 11,000 other businesses and public sector agencies across 180 countries. Emeric also advises some of the biggest global brands on social media, such as Virgin and Microsoft. Agorapulse is the most successful independent social media management software in Europe. And in this conversation, Emeric and I talk about social SEO, social ROI, AI in social media, and lots more. Emeric, I'm thrilled to have you on the Public Sector Marketing Show. We first met in Dublin, I'm going to guess, about 8 years ago.
We met in Dublin. I think my son was there. That was in the big stadium.
Yes,
I remember that. It probably was 8 years ago. Yeah, because I remember renewing my passport for that, and it's expiring soon. So that must be it.
Well, listen, Pete, the listeners to the show know I'm a huge fan of Agorapulse. I've been using it for, 6-7 years at this stage. And, that single dashboard life in the world of social really helps a social media manager like me. But give me a little bit of the backstory to Agorapulse. What can you tell us about what drove you to set it up? Because you're the most successful social media management tool in Europe at the moment.
I don't know if we're the most successful in Europe, depending on what criteria you use. We're definitely the most successful independent one because everybody else has been purchased by larger American corporations. So, so we are in that sense an important player on the European scene for sure. It's a long story, so I'm going to try to make it really short because I've been an entrepreneur for 24 years now, and it's been a long journey. And it all started with software and community in 2000. It didn't really work for 10 years, but we struggled and fought our way in and tried to do everything we could to get some level of success, but we had very little success, unfortunately. And it was about building communities online. And when Facebook came along and became something and became big within, companies and brands and enterprises, and they said, "Oh, we have to be on Facebook. We have to have a page. We have to gather fans." So there were fan pages. You became a fan of the page a long time ago. And when we saw that, we at some point realized that this would be the future of communities, not our build your own community software. So we pivoted to that. We pivoted to Facebook, basically. And the way we did that pivot was through building apps, contests, promotions, like, being an addition to the Facebook page and helping you grow your page and little by little manage the conversations on your wall, because that's how it was called at the time, get statistics and level of understanding of how things were working, and posting content on your page. It was Facebook only in the very early days of 2011. And we slowly realized that all the contest and promotion part of things were not so good as a business model, because there was a lot of churn. Like, the usage was very temporary by cents, because people run contests like once a year for a month and then they're done. And we didn't like that. We were not used daily by someone in the company, because as an entrepreneur, I know that if you want to succeed, your thing has to be used by someone daily, like in the business. So a job title in the business has to be your core user, and that has to be a usage that makes a difference for them on a daily basis. So we looked at what was there, and at the time, Hootsuite was already there. It was very nascent and new, but and rough, but it was already out there for Twitter only, but it was evolving in the direction of also expanding to other networks. And Buffer was already in existence in 2012, early 2012. And we thought, okay, that's the direction we want to take. So slowly but surely, we added Twitter, we added LinkedIn, we added Instagram, and then today we did TikTok and Pinterest and soon WhatsApp and YouTube and everything. And over the years, despite being a bootstrap business, which slows things down because you don't have an external influx of cash that you can rely on to hire a bunch of developers and get your product being built quickly. With our own customers' money, we evolved the product into the full social media management suite that it is today, like 12 years later. And yeah, that's the story in a nutshell.
And what I really love about the ethos of Agorapulse is that you listen intentionally and with great purpose to your customers, because there's an open channel for us to give you feedback on features that you're testing, but also things that we would like to see. And you ask that question of us on an ongoing basis. And I know over the years, I've come in and I've said, you know, I could do with this. I would like that. And that conversation is open, and you feel like a company that's small. But I think it's that, you know, going back to that original business idea of allowing people to build their communities, you've really brought that purpose into the company. And you know, that two-way conversation is something that I don't always see in SaaS companies. Is that something that other customers say to you?
Well, thank you for sharing that. Just so you know, this is good practice to do that. A business, to be successful, business should talk to their customers. They should listen to their customers. They should have time set apart on their product manager agendas, on sometimes their developer agendas, definitely their executives and decision makers, to make sure that what they build is actually resonating and is actually solving a problem that they heard the customer were having. If you're not, and I, you know, it you say it so nicely that it felt like we're doing it to be good, to be a, you know, a good vendor to you. We're doing it because it's our ethos, it's our philosophy, and we want to be a good company. Well, it's actually how you build a good company. So it feels like we're doing the right thing and we're being a good partner to you, but it's I would advise anybody who runs a business to be very close to their customers and make sure that whatever problem they solve, they understand it really, really well, and it sticks with the kind of problem that they heard their customers are sharing. So, and it's you know, you read every book on building businesses and entrepreneurship. That's probably the number one advice that they're going to give you. Do not build anything in a vacuum. Make sure that before committing to building product or additional features or extension of your product or whatever, you had listened to what your customers are experiencing in terms of pains and issues and blockers, and that's what you solve. And you don't solve, oh, I had an idea this morning, I'm the CEO, I'm so smart, I had an idea, I woke up and I think we should do X, and then you build X, and dozens of people in your company get tired building S for months, and then X is released and then nobody cares. And that's the most horrible thing you can do as a business.
Yeah, and you know, my client base, as you know, are government and public sector agencies, and they have particular needs when it comes to, you know, doing business. And one of those being they don't always have access to a credit card for subscription.
Yeah.
Maybe they need a purchase order and they want to buy your license in
Mm,
one go for a year.
mm,
But that these are big things to my clients,
yeah.
and you know, I you have been working with them in that vein too. So I know that that's welcome.
Mm, yeah. We have also we have a lot of customers in France in the public sector as well. Currently helping one of my sales guy to respond to a call for a project by the city of Paris. And we also submitted an RFP recently to like the whole French government. So like we have many of them already, and they have the same need. Like they cannot pay with a credit card. So the challenge there is, how do you build a process? Technically, everything's doable, but then on the human part, on the following, making sure the money got in, reconciliating
Yeah.
the accounting
Yeah.
and the system in the billing system and everything. So in the early days, you do it by putting humans in charge. And so go check that this people paid us and they send the wire transfer. Otherwise, warn them and tell them if they don't, we'll have to shut down the service and blah, whatever. It's like whole management of payment recovery. And as you get more and more and more, if it's for amounts that are putting your profit at risk or forcing you to hire too many people to handle that, then you have to perfect the system and you have to delegate some part of that to VAs in foreign countries that are not going to cost you the same thing as people in Europe or in the US. And it's a challenges are not only technical challenges when you build a business. You have admin challenges, payment challenges, legal challenges. We talked about that earlier. So it's a constant learning. How can I make that work so it works for them, for the customers, but it also work for us, and we're not losing all our bandwidth and our energy in pursuing things that we shouldn't be pursuing. And yeah, so it's a challenge. This payment by wire transfer is a topic that comes back on a regular basis. How much should we ask for it? How long of a commitment? So we're not recurringly going through dozens and dozens, sometimes hundreds of businesses that are paying us amounts that now seems very small. So what we accepted when we were making 100,000 euro a month obviously doesn't feel the same that now we're at 1.8 million a month. So like what does make sense? And yeah, challenges every day. That's the lifeblood of a business.
For sure.
Mm.
Let's talk about social media. So, as social
Yep.
media marketers, we're challenged with the ever changing nature of the platforms, the
Mm.
features, the algorithms. You guys also have to keep up with that.
Yeah,
So how would you describe the social media landscape at the moment?
it's chaotic. And I think that's one of the reasons why we exist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I get asked this question all the time. It's like, how do you see the future of social media? And my answer is always the same. The digital landscape, not only social media, the digital landscape as a whole has become more and more fractioned and fragmented and complex to handle. Like it's today, as I am, it's funny enough, I'm running the marketing team in my company now because the marketing leader we parted ways in September. So I'm back in the weeds of doing marketing for the business, and it's incredibly complex. The
Mm-hmm.
amount of choices you have to make on the channels, on the venues, on the what kind of events and what kind of advertising medium we want to use, and what kind of partners we want to work with. And I mean, it's the number of decisions you have to make is staggering. Social media is just the same. It's just the the replication of digital is very complex. So is social media, and it's even more complex because it's one of the digital channel that we have access to, and this one channel is divided into a dozen of different venues where you can be present or decide not to. And each of them have like not a dozen, but at least 4 or 5 different content types and different, video and photo and multi-photo and document and PDF and just text and this and this and that. And that complexity is not going to get it's not going to get better. The complexity is going to, at least at the very best, stays the same, but probably keep increasing and keep getting more complex. And it's not going anywhere. Like social media, digital is not going anywhere. I think we can all agree on that. We're not getting back to the age of we had regular phone landlines, phones, and snail mail, and all that's not coming back. And in the digital world, the power to the people, I mean, the ability for you, for me, for anybody as a user, as a person, as an individual contributor to the digital world, to post content, to interact, to ask questions, to basically, you organize a trip, you now you're going online and you ask questions and you check blogs and you go on travel agency things and and you ask, you start a chat and whatever that is. We all do that. That is not going away anytime soon, because the power we got through social, I mean, we have to go back to what social media means. In the early days of the web, was pages that you build HTML, CSS. They were static. Then you were searching through them for directories and then through a search engine, but you had no way to interact with that web. And social media in the early 2010s were basically tools that allowed you to interact with that, to add your own content, to ask your own question, to have conversations and in comments and so on and so forth. That is never going to go away. Never. I mean, you use the web, I use the web. There is no way I will keep using the web if I cannot interact with it anymore. I wouldn't want to do that. So that's the premise. That is not going away, and that plus the complexity, we just have to get used to it. We just have to learn how to navigate. That's a piece of advice that one of my coach told me. Life never gets easier. You just get better at managing hard.
Wow.
And it applies to so many different areas of life and business and our professional lives. When I look at my professional skills, like, nothing became easier since I started building businesses. Most things became much harder. And I just learned to handle hard and to read through it and to navigate through it. That's the only solution. There's no other. So what we do with Agora Pulse is we're happy to help people to navigate that chaos a little bit better than if they had to do it on their own, natively on the platform. So that's my prediction. And I'm sorry, it's not everything's gonna be easy and fine. Do not worry. No,
Get
but
better at hard. I like that
yeah,
line. Get
yeah,
better at hard. So
yeah.
listen, in the last 2 weeks, two clients have asked me about social ROI.
Mm,
Um, and on both occasions, I raised the fact that, this was something that you guys had built into your platform and
mm,
trying to track the return on investment that social media gives. And for public sector, they're
mm,
not selling a product. Sometimes they are selling it as a service, but
mm.
really they're selling public trust and the
Yeah,
public buying into public policy. Talk to me about that social ROI integration and why it's so important.
yeah. So when you use the word return on investment, ROI, in for many people, it will have many different meanings. In my world, the meaning I ascribe to it is, what do you get from the work you do in whatever, in social media in that case? Like, what result, benefit, impact do you create, or do you receive because you spend time and energy creating content, conversations, interactions on social media? Or it could work for any digital channel, by the way. It's not specific to social media. And it may differ from one business to the other. It may differ from one industry or one vertical to the other. I totally understand that for a public sector that is not selling goods, the impact, the business impact, or the benefit they want to get from whatever they're doing on digital is not going to be linked to revenue generation. It's going to be linked to something else. So first of all, you have to define what is that something else. And when and so you mentioned trust, but maybe the way they measure that is that people come to our building to ask questions, and then we've built a whole website to answer all their questions. Are they checking the website? Is social media helping us to direct them to where they can get answers to their question? And that is something you can track. So it's going to be more relating to traffic that sent to specific web properties, for example. Or I don't know, like, let's say you're because we talked about renewing my passport 8 years ago. um, you have passport renewal or ID renewal, and it used to be very physical. You go to the town hall, you do that in the real world, but now more and more, at least in France, that's the way it is. It's all online, it's all digital, it's all on the web. So how do you serve people who come and ask questions and send them to, oh, this is how it works now, this is how you do it, this is what you need, and And how do you measure how many people got their questions answers thanks to conversations on social media that redirected them to the right resource online. So that's a way you can track. We build trust and we help the people that we are supposed to help, and this is how many of them we did help, and all that is tracked with number of clicks, number of traffic that was sent to the site, and number of conversations that were labeled with the label that is corresponding to the goal that we're trying to achieve on social. So it can have many different um, 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 outcomes that are not necessarily sales. But if you're outside of the public sector, conversion and sales and revenue and web traffic to the right web properties or right pages on your web properties is probably going to be 90% of what you want to measure. And I often hear from people that social media is branding, is brand awareness. That it doesn't have anything to do with business results, and I disagree with that. I disagree with that for one main reason, is that branding and awareness is often, too often, in my opinion, used as a smoke screen to basically say, "Oh, my stuff cannot be measured.
Mm,
I cannot be judged
yeah,
on business result because I'm brand awareness and branding." And I fundamentally think this is wrong from a marketing perspective. Yes, obviously we want to create brand awareness and do branding, but if all we do is not measurable and the excuse we have is because it's brand awareness, when things are going to get tough, when recession are going to hit, and we're in the middle of one, when the business results that are the businesses we work for or we work with, that used to be good, are going down, guess who's going to be guess who's going to get a budget cut? Guess who's going to get fired? Those who say my stuff cannot be measured. I'm doing something you don't know if it's actually impacting the business, but I'm telling you it's great because it's brand awareness. Those are the ones that are going to get budget cuts and layoffs. And I think the community that we serve of marketers who work on social media and social media managers, they deserve to be recognized for the job they do. They deserve to show and prove that yes, they get conversation, yes, they get engagement, yes, they get impressions, yes, they get visibility through social media. Well, if they don't, it's probably that either social media is not the right channel for them or they're not doing it the right way, which is both possibilities that we all faced at some point in our lives, right? it,
for
it was
sure.
not always successful. And so those things are important, but if they cannot connect the dots between their activities and some level of traffic conversion into even conversion into a subscriber or into an event that you're running, into a webinar that you're running, or best revenue generation, there's probably something wrong about the way you're approaching social media. And the other thing I hear as well very often is when you track this kind of impact on social media, you're only going to see the tip of the iceberg, because most of what's happening on social media is going to be on dark social. Dark social is basically, I sent you a message on LinkedIn, and you like it and you click on it and you become a customer of whatever I recommended to you. I do that all the time with my team. Oh, look at that tool. It's an amazing tool. I send them the link on Slack. And that's dark social, basically, a link on Slack with no tracker on the link. And so there are a lot of things are happening behind the scene that you can't really track. If people click on that link, Google Analytics is just going to see direct traffic. That's what you're going to get. That's it. There will be no other information on your site about what the traffic and what the conversion came from. And this is true. There is an element of tip of the iceberg, and most of the iceberg you're not going to see. It's not only true for social media, it's true for everything, even for paid ads. I I'm going on a tangent here, but this one is a good example that I had. So I was running Facebook advertising in Mexico. That was like probably 9 years ago. And I was disappointed by the result, and I was about to stop the campaign because the result that I was able to directly track from the Facebook pixel and the Facebook report was not good. And I was about to shut down the campaign. And then I looked at my revenue graphs and I said, hey, well, let's look at what Mexico revenue is doing. And I look at the revenue in just Mexico. That was a very, very small country for us. I was mostly running this as a test. And I looked at the revenue was, kind of steady before I started the campaign. And then after, on the day that started the campaign, within a week, the revenue started to pick up. And it kept picking up and it was going up and to the right very, very strongly until the day I was looking at it and I thought, oh my God. So the direct tracking of the ad is telling me one story.
Mhm.
When I go beyond that, beyond that, and I look at it, what is the impact that the direct traffic of the ad is not showing me, and then the impact was significant. So even with advertising, which is probably the most direct trackable thing you can do online, there is a dark web effect there or dark social effect. So the tip of the iceberg is true, but my answer to them is always the same thing. And pardon my French, but if there's no tip, there's no fucking iceberg. So if you cannot measure something, there's probably nothing there. But if you can see something, you can probably assume that there must be something bigger underneath the surface of the water, which is the rest of the iceberg. And it's at least giving you a tip that, okay, this seems to work. It seems small when I look at how it works, the numbers and the revenue numbers and the conversion number are not that significant. So it may not feel like it is, oh my God, it's amazing, it's so huge. But it's probably much larger and much bigger because you're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, but you got the hint. You got a hint that, okay, this is just paying my salary, I don't know, or my agency fee, based on what I measure. But because there's probably more, it's worth doing. So I'm always for, let's measure the tip if that's the only thing we can measure, because it's at least giving us some insights as to whether or not what we're doing is generating impact.
So many great points there. Marketers being able to defend the impact of social media, understanding what social media success looks like to individual agencies, and love that you excused your your French there with the tip of the iceberg. Fantastic. Another game changer in social media is the fact that now younger generations are using TikTok and Instagram as their primary search engine.
Yeah.
And for Google to come out and admit this 18 months ago, and they probably knew of that trend before that, that was just like gobsmacked to me. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is another major marketing shift. How is Agorapulse responding to social SEO?
What's funny is that we use the term social SEO. We use SEO in the term social media SEO, where it is absolutely not the same mechanism. Um, uh, it's you cannot optimize social to be found the same way you can optimize content. So it's a new paradigm that you have to learn. It's a new skill that you have to learn beyond the you say the young generation. I love that you say that, because my wife is like me, 51, and she's using Pinterest and Instagram to find inspiration for, she loves home improvement. So we want to change this room in the house, we want to decorate that, we want to do a new backyard. She has always ideas about stuff she wants to do, and for each of those projects, we have to find a floor, we have to find a paint, we have to find a color, we have to find, lights, and not my thing, but apparently very complex. And it seems very complex. And she usually finds stuff. I say, oh, that's lovely. Where did you find this? And the answer is always the same. Oh, Instagram. Oh, Pinterest. And I'm amazed. It's my own wife, and she's not the young generation. I'm sorry for her and me, but at 50 plus, we're not young anymore. And social has become the way she gets inspired, the way she finds product, the way she finds product equivalent, the way she buys stuff, basically, and she discover vendors and suppliers of product that we eventually get buying. And so back to your question, that's one thing that excites me about what we have built, because every business that is willing to spend the time can create that visibility on social networks, on the right social networks. If you're home improvement, Pinterest, Instagram, obvious choice. Twitter, probably not. LinkedIn, no way, not interesting. TikTok probably as well. My wife is not a big TikTok user, never am I, but I would assume that if it works on Instagram, it can probably work on TikTok as well. So the way we're approaching it is we're trying, first of all, these social networks are limited by API. So what you can do on them is based on their API. So the first thing we're doing is we try to cover everything the API offers us, which is a lot of work. So all the little options that can be useful for you to get more visibility, to add the right hashtags, to keep the hashtags. So we're working on AI to suggest hashtags that can give you more visibility. So we try to embed within the product everything the APIs allow us to do, and our own tool and AI allow us to do to help you create the little tips and tricks and tactics that help you get visibility. What visibility is going to be based on? It's going to be based on the followers. So like measuring how many you get and what helps you get more. That's number one. And the second one is on the quality of the content that you're going to post. And it's so helping you making it easier to, as easy as possible to do and as impactful as possible. And finally on measuring, like the only thing you can improve is the thing you measure and the thing you understand. So by offering measurement that tells you this worked and this didn't work so well, you probably want to do more of the first one and less of the second one. And by offering that insight, we're helping a customer understand what they need to do more of, because the more success they have with their content, the more engagement they have with their content, the more favor they're going to get from the algorithm. So that's the other way to get growth and on your visibility and your audience on social media. And it's all a complex process, but when you think about it, if you build a web property, a website, or a blog, getting high SEO traffic is a hell of a job. It is really, really hard. And unfortunately, getting the same on social is also a hell of a job and is really, really hard. So what we're trying to do is to make it less hard, but it still is a lot of work. And that's also why it is so important for us that the people who do that hell of a job can prove that it's worth doing, and do not have to be ashamed of the invoice they send to their customers, or the pay slip that they get every month from their employers. So yeah, as I run marketing now for the business, I see how complex marketing is, how much work it is to do it right. And the level of work just to measure things the right way, the level of work we have to put is staggering. It's not easy. And unfortunately, social media is no different. So there's a lot of work that needs to go behind it, which probably goes to choices you have to make as a marketer. So if you're a small business and you're just, a couple of people in the marketing team, you have to choose your battles. You cannot do everything. So maybe social media is the thing for you and you should go all in and forget everything else, or maybe not. And maybe that's something else you should be doing. I was discussing with my co-founder yesterday, who was looking at the travel industry, and he showed me companies that are in the travel business that are only on Instagram. So, for example, if you are looking for tips and advice and hotels for you want to go to Tokyo in Japan because he's organizing a trip in Japan very soon, he showed me this company runs Instagram accounts that are specific to this country, that city, and all these Instagram accounts are all about advice and tips and place to visit and hotels and special coupons and deals and discount. And he was like, that's incredible. I had no idea. There's bookings and there's Airbnb and there's them. And they just found their niche by creating properties on Instagram with millions of followers overall that are specific to, and he told me it's amazing the amount of information and tips you can have there. That is so creative. But this company probably decided to go all in on Instagram and say, that's all we're going to do, but we're going to do it the best of the best.
Yeah.
And for me, that choice, like making choices and deciding to go all in on one thing that works for you, is probably one of the most difficult but yet important thing to do when you make decisions to go to work on social media.
So let's talk about then AI. And you mentioned AI in terms of the platform,
Mm.
and we know it's inbuilt in tools, machine learning. But
Yeah.
how is AI going to shift the world for marketers? I think we as marketers need to become AI experts if we're going to survive.
Yeah. Well, we have to, absolutely. Uh, it There are industries and businesses for which it's going to be disruptive, meaning that it's going to replace them.
Mhm.
I'm not going to try to draw a list of what kind of businesses are going to be replaced, but the web has replaced businesses like travel agencies. That's a whole industry that has been crushed by the web, because now our travel agency is called Google, and that's how we. But even that is not perfect. That's for another podcast episode. um, so the web disrupted some businesses, mobile disrupted some businesses, e-commerce disrupted some businesses. That's also, we can put that on the back of the web. But AI is going to disrupt some businesses that are going to be less and less relevant. Um, but most businesses are not going to be disrupted or destroyed by AI. They're going to be augmented by AI, and that augmentation is going to make those who are not leveraging AI irrelevant, short or midterm. And that's the challenge for us. Our business cannot be disrupted by AI for one very simple reason. In order to do what we do, you have to have a team of developers that keep those API connections with all of these social networks running, and you have to maintain that infrastructure of interconnections with a dozen of social networks that are very, very complex. AI cannot do that. If you don't have that, which requires in our business 10 full-time developer in the team, which is a lot of money, I can tell you. Um, you cannot do anything with AI because you don't have the content, and you cannot send the content back, and you cannot analyze anything because you don't have access to the API. So we're not going to be disrupted because the core infrastructure of what we do has to remain. It has to be there for the value to be created. But once you get the content, AI can drastically speed up the time it takes for you to handle the content, remove all the crap. AI can help you do that and cut your time 10x. Propose responses to the questions that you have by going into your FAQ, by going into your delivery system if you're an e-commerce business. Like, AI can basically say here are all the relevant questions that you had yesterday or this morning or last hour, whatever, depending on the volume. And here are all the answers. Just click approve, 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 or change this one a little bit and approve. And that's something that already exists in many support system, and that's the same logic. Every support software, by the way, they will have to implement AI. If they don't implement AI within the next 2 years, they're probably dead. So in many of the features that we have, this is what's going to happen. We will all have, as an industry, to include AI in the processes of how people work with us. Oh, I want to post a content on this and that, but I don't know how to structure it. Let's ask AI. Please propose me a post that talks about this and this and that and has an image that looks like that and blah, blah, blah. We all can already do that with DALL-E and ChatGPT on our own, but these features are going to be embedded and integrated within the tool. And when you also, on the last item that AI is going to augment quite a bit, there is the interpretation of the result. Like, you have all these data points and all these social profiles with all these engagement and impressions and reach and dislike and different types of reactions and so on and so forth. What can I learn from that? And it's humanly impossible, or you have an entire department that does analysis for you, right? But who has that? I don't. And we have a data team, but nobody has the time for that. It's way too much. The magic of AI is you won't have to do that anymore. AI is just going to come every morning and send you a summary, These are the three things you need to know about what happened yesterday on your social media or on your digital property or whatever, based on the analytics, based on the millions of events that happened. This is what you need to understand from that. And that's going to be game changing, because suddenly all that huge magma of data that was meaningless is going to become meaningful, because AI doesn't feel the pain of going through millions of lines of data and understanding the patterns and identifying the patterns and telling you, oh, this is what's happening. And that's going to be game changing. So basically, helping you handle incoming content and filter through the crap when there's crap and remove it and hide it, and all you can do with the API. Back to AI cannot replace the API connection that allows you to hide and delete and whatever. So that is still needed. So helping you there to answer and engage with your audience in a much faster way, still yet high quality, by finding the responses for you and proposing them in advance. Number one. Number two, helping you craft content by just, hey, I have this idea and this and that, and woof. And there are 5 different types of posts you can do, and here are 5 versions of them if you want to post multiple times. So that is definitely already there. I think we have a feature on that that's going to keep being improved, but already does that. And finally, helping you go through the mass of data that you have and extracting the core of what you really need to know to improve your game on social media. So those are the 3 areas where AI is going to be game changing. And my bet is we're all going to do that. Nobody is going to not do that, because it is so obvious that it is the value you want to add with AI on a software like ours.
Like, absolutely. The more capability that you add for marketers so that we don't have to do it outside that single dashboard view, I mean, that's just value add like 10x for sure. So I would certainly welcome you guys doing the AI legwork so I don't have to.
Yeah. I think on our mobile app, we already have an AI assistant that you can use for interpreting your analytics. So if you go on our mobile app, the mobile app analytics has a section where you can say, give me the summary, and then AI is going to produce a summary of all your stats. I think they run that as a test on the mobile app only. One other thing we're launching very, very soon so we have a new listening feature that is launching this month. For now, it's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, if I'm correct. And then we're going to add web listening to that later in early Q2, hopefully. And in that feature, we have a sentiment analysis feature. That's totally AI. So like AI is telling you, they like it, they don't like it. And again, before AI, that was borderline impossible to do, very expensive, very complex. With AI now, it's built in. You got the result. It's quite accurate. It's incredibly accurate, actually. So these are little things where you can plug, choosing hashtags when you post on social media. AI is going to be really, really helpful there, because AI will understand the pattern. They will analyze millions of posts and say, this got traction, this didn't, this got volume, this didn't. If you're trying to do it manually, it's impossible. So
wonderful. Listen, Aymeric Ernaud, co-founder and CEO of Agorapulse, thank you so much for joining me on the Public Sector Marketing Show. We have a lot to look forward to as marketers within that single view dashboard. And thanks to all your developers and all your team that serve us around the world. We really appreciate their work.
Thank you so much, Joanne. It was great to be this conversation with you this morning.
Okay, so that brings episode 94 of the Public Sector Marketing Show to a close. But before I go, just a reminder that I have updated all of our courses on our new website. Our signature accredited programs are the Bootcamp, the Professional Diploma in Social Media, and the brand new Professional Diploma in Digital Communications for Government and Public Sector. So if you're intending to go for interview, go for promotion this year, then certainly these courses will help you. We've also launched a brand new website, and there's a whole host of free resources there. You can access the free webinar replays, download my free publications, and also have a look at what we offer in terms of consulting and strategy. And just a very, very quick reminder, if you haven't got a copy of my book, Public Sector Marketing Pro, the second edition, then you should get it on Amazon. Or if you're like me and you much prefer to listen to books these days, you can get it on Audible. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy the show, I'd really appreciate a subscribe on YouTube or a review on any of your favorite podcast platforms.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with a public sector pro you know. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. For more free resources, details of our upcoming training courses and consulting options, log on to publicsectormarketingpros.com.